We had a problem. We wanted to increase the production value of our live streams at the performance horse events that we stream all over the United States without the increased cost of extra help, camera people, hotels, cables, running power cords, and all the headaches that come with adding additional cameras. That's when a colleague of mine introduced me to the BirdDog P200. He showed me that with one Cat5 cable connected over NDI over the network, he could control, receive video, and power that camera, all with one cable. Since then, we have now added 3 BirdDog P200s, the new PH120, as well as 2 BirdDog Studios, bringing them all over the NDI network with one input into our vMix production. This has been huge to help keep cables and help to a minimum, help keep our costs down and increase the production value for our client, which was our ultimate goal. As we travel from show to show, sometimes we only have a couple of hours to get set up. So having the ability to set each camera up with just one cable and not have to source out power outlets, power cords and everything else that goes along with it, it helped keep our setup time to a minimum while still allowing us to add more cameras for the production. The quality of the camera and the footage is incredible, and being able to control all these over the NDI network with one input makes it a no-brainer for us to use the BirdDog products. With the ability to place these cameras virtually anywhere, it allows us to bring in more camera angles and give us more freedom to place those cameras where we need them the most, whether it's an interview on the side of the arena or the action from up above or down below. We can capture any angle with minimum cables. When one of my dogs chewed through a cable, I emailed BirdDog to see if I could get a replacement cable. Within minutes, they emailed me back and said that they were sending a new replacement cable to the location we were at. It did not affect our production one bit. Thank you, BirdDog. At Performance Horse Central, we're always looking for new ways, better ways to increase our production. BirdDog has helped us do that and bring that quality to our clients. BirdDog, thank you very much. We couldn't do it without you.
Well, it is that time again, everybody. Hope you are doing well. My name is BirdDog John, and I am back in action.
In those scenarios, it's good to neuralize the cameras. You guys know that best.
Very straightforward. Plug it in, go to the web UI, link the source, walk away. You know, like super simple. I keep looking over at the chat, and I keep seeing you are full of it. Tasty, spicy meat snacks. Covered in flavor. I mean, you can't go wrong. So what's going on? We've got a handful of folks here in the chat, and I really appreciate that. What's up, mate? Hey, Warren, how are you? Appreciate it. Hey, Robbie, how's it going, man? You're just talking about you. What's going on, Tom? Ahoy. How is it going? What's going on, GoWeb? Good to see you again. Thanks for hanging out with us again today. Appreciate that. Feel like I'm in this video more than anyone but John. It's true, NetApp. You are, I'm going to cut this up and put this in the next intro. What's going on, everybody? I am indeed BirdDog John. Hopefully you're doing well. I am here trying to get things organized this morning. A little bit busy today, so that's okay. But the first and foremost is that I don't even have the heat map thing set up here. So let's, Let me change that real quick. Let me get that going. Select destination for responses. New spreadsheet. What is today? Today is June the 27th. Oh, that month is gone. Okay, cool. So we're going to start collecting responses there. And yoink, I'm going to do that. And then I can throw this over onto, where are we here? Branding. Yoink. Okay, so we can put that there. That's cool. And somebody remembered where, somebody in the U.S. has remembered, because I've already got one response. So we're going to view the results over in Google Sheets. Hey, what's going on, San Jose? And I'm going to collect data from column C and B and C, and we're going to create a chart. So let's do that real quick. I want to get this heat map up and running so that we can have this portion of the show. But scan that QR code. It's just going to ask you what country you're in and what is the closest city to that country. And yeesh, we will get that started. Now, if I don't aggregate this, but if I change this to, yep, city, there we go. All right, and then I'm going to take this chart and I'm going to show it on its own sheet, move to its own sheet. We're going to edit the chart and make sure the water is blue, because at least we're in my part of the world, the water is blue and not white. So boom, there we go. And now I'm going to share this over onto the stream. So this up on the main third screen. We're going to turn on screen capture. And as soon as that comes up, come on, last piece of the puzzle, screen capture. Okay, you know what it is? It's probably because this computer's been running for a week. So that's going to make everybody nervous. So hey, if the show abruptly quits, it's probably because I didn't restart this computer before we started the show, and I'm going to pay the ultimate price, which is it's going to die on us at some point. Okay, so here we go. We got the heat map up and running. And there you are, 2 people in the States right now. So, yeah, thanks for jumping along. If you go ahead and scan that QR code that's on the screen, that will take care of that. So, cool stuff. All right, I'll sell these. What are these that you're going to sell? I don't know what you're referencing here, but welcome aboard, Jacob. Welcome aboard. No comment, says NetHab. Somebody said, oh, there's 2 people watching right now. That is actually not entirely true, because I'm streaming to 6 platforms. And so there's a whole bunch of people. There's about 11 people watching that I can see. And then there's also LinkedIn doesn't actually give me any stats on that. So anyways, good stuff. So welcome aboard, everybody. I am Bird Dog John, and we want to chat briefly today in a little bit about this announcement that I ran into on LinkedIn, apparently at Infocom. The fact that I wasn't at Infocom is annoying. But, yeah, at Infocom, Netgear announced a 4350. So I don't know what that means, and today we're going to forge for information to try and find out a little bit more about that and see if we can, if there's any videos of anybody at Infocom, if there's anything like that. We can check that out together. So, all right, we have one person that says, I can't scan that. Okay, let me get you a link, because that is also an option. And go down here to the form. This is a great time, by the way, to let me know if you got any support questions or comments or anything like that. Happy to take those as we get ready to... oh, and of course, you're on LinkedIn. So let me jump over to LinkedIn, because it's not gonna put that link in LinkedIn. So I can do that over here, I believe. Oh, it did not like that. Why didn't it let me? It failed to post. Am I not logged in? Wait, what? I am logged in here. That's really annoying. So let's open the stream. It won't let me do that. So can I reply to you and post? No. Can I send you a message and post? I don't understand why it won't let me do this. So Jacob, I will try and message you. Let's see if that works. Oh, whoops. Send. Let's see if you can do that. There you go. Hopefully you'll get that and that'll work for you. All right. So, as the title suggests, I ran into this announcement yesterday, actually. Apparently I wasn't paying attention, but at InfoComm 2023, they announced that they Netgear is launching an M4350. And so the question remains, what does that mean? And what are the differences, right? So I have a bunch of 4250s here in the office. I have training videos on 4250s and how they operate with bird dogs. I have a whole bunch of things, but I don't know very much about the 4350. So today I'm going to actively forge for information while I stream. It's not going to be like an educational, how-to program this time around, because we've done that a fair bit over the past several weeks, and we're going to take a break today. Now, it doesn't mean that I won't do that on Thursday, but yeah, this show is about having an opportunity for you to ask your support questions that you might have, and we realize that not everybody is a super fan of submitting tickets to help at birddog.tv. By the way, if you're looking for actual bird dog support and you want to talk to an agent, that is exactly where you would do that, is over at help@birddog.tv. And I've got 3 agents that watch those tickets constantly. And so if you are needing help or support with your bird dog product, feel free to reach out to us there. We also do have a pre-sales line at hello@birddog.tv. And so if you're thinking about buying a bird dog product, that's your resource to find that. And of course, everything that happens here on my support show is right at birddogjohn.tv. So jump over to YouTube, subscribe to that channel if you don't mind. That's always helpful. And everything that I do here appears there, which I keep saying I'm going to take that 4250 series, those 5 videos, and put them up there, and I never do. So I need to do that after today's show. I will make those available over there as well. So it looks like we've got... it looks like Angus is checked in Canada, and it looks like I've got somebody in Australia, so that's pretty exciting. Thanks for coming along, everybody. All right, let me see here. Do you go through the LinkedIn Easy Apply resumes? I don't think Bird Dog's ever used those, but then again, I don't know. I'm not the one that does the recruiting when we have job openings. I believe there is actually a job opening in the DAC region, so in the Germany region, for a sales guy. I don't know what else has been posted recently, but there you go. What's going on, Angus? Good morning. Thanks for hanging out with us today. Appreciate that. Always fun. All right, we'll come back to the heat map in a few moments, but I definitely want to try and find some information on this 4300 stuff, because it kind of hit me out of the blue, and I feel a little bit silly for not being able to, or not knowing that was happening. So obviously I don't have insider information with Netgear. I find out with the rest of you. But I do know that, let's see if we can find out. So first we're going to land on the actual M4250 page, but I want to, for some reason it keeps dumping me to the support page for these switches and not the product page. So I want to see their marketing material. And, remember, like I always say, take network marketing material with a bit of a grain of salt, because typically it's in conjunction with the tech and the developers, but it's designed to look pretty. right? And so it's designed to be digestible, especially for people who are not like network people. So they're designing this. Now, I don't know if that's a philosophy at Netgear or not, but I've seen it in too many places where, things are said about products that really should come with some sort of warning. So we want to take that with a little grain of salt when we're looking here. Don't show this again. So this is the actual product page for the 4350s. And if I go back here to this real quick, the M4350 series of 1 gig to 100 gigabit fully managed switches provides an edge-to-core stackable platform for any AV over IP installation. Redundant modular power supplies on select models contribute to business continuity management. Interesting. Ooh, look at this. This is also the 4500 switches provide throughput for up to 100 gigs for AV over IP. They're configured to work out of the box. Man, those things look like blades. They don't look like switches. Anyways, so this is where I click to learn more about the 4350s. And here it basically gives you the whole rundown of the entire line. And so we can get specific as to what it is that we need. So I really want PoE Plus or PoE Plus Plus. Okay, so I don't want PoE. I just, out of the gates, if I'm buying a Switch, I'm just going to want PoE Plus or better, because all of our cameras are going to be running PoE Plus minimum, and some of our cameras, like the A200, the A200, A300, they're going to be running PoE Plus Plus, so they're going to need up to 90 watts. Now, be careful, because PoE Plus Plus has multiple classes, and it can be up to 45 watts, 60 watts, or 90 watts. So if you see on the box it says PoE Plus Plus, look at the fine print, because you want to see exactly how much wattage your ports can actually do, and pay special attention to the budget, because, and not your money budget, but the PoE budget, because if you're doing 90 watts throughput on a port, that's going to eat up, basically 100 watts per port. That's going to eat up your budget really fast. So if you have, 500 watts, but you're doing PoE Plus Plus, which probably doesn't exist in a switch like that. But if you have a low budget, but you have high output, you're only able to run a few cameras. So be careful with that. Again, the whole point of the way that BirdDog is designing their devices, the majority of their devices, is to be a one cable plug-in, where you can power the device, you can get NDI out of the device, you can control the device all over a single cable, right? So all of our cameras have PoE on board. Generally, it's PoE Plus, and some of them have PoE Plus Plus. So know the difference between the plus categories, but also know what it is that your camera is going to require. So there you go. So there's a whole bunch of stuff. This line looks a lot like the 4250 line, but it is the 4350. So we've got 48 ports at 1 gig with PoE Plus. Gives you a 236 watt base. There are no prices here, so we may have to go forge for that information as to what it is that these are going for. Probably not super inexpensive, but when you're getting to a fully managed line of switches, you're probably considering more about, you want something that's like robust and gonna work for quite a while. And honestly, the Netgear AV line is a great place to start there, because they have a great reputation. They've got solid support, and easily able to help you get configured and set up. Some of these configurations, though, make me super giddy, because, okay, so we've got huge wattage that you can adjust the wattage on here, and I guess that's what you can do here. So 236 is the base, but you can go up to 1440. It gives you, I don't see any SFP ports on straight SFP. All I see on most of these switches are SFP Plus, which is what you want when we're talking about high performance video networks. Okay, this isn't SMPTE 2110, but it certainly isn't. It's not an HD base option. Okay, NDI is a high performance video standard, and so it gives you amazing flexibility, but you do need to supply it with the proper infrastructure. And, Netgear make great AV line switches for this purpose. Actually, it's specific for, NDI is one of the flavors that they tailor their switches for. So what's not to love? So yeah, we continue to navigate here. Most of this is just port configuration. So 24 10 gig ports, that's amazing. 24 10 gig or multi-gig ports, PoE Plus, starting at 576 and going up to 720. Oh, that's interesting. But then you have these SFP Plus ports on here as well. I'm sorry, SFP 028s. Okay, so yeah, we're starting already SFP Plus, SFP Plus. So you can buy them in various configurations, but this SFP 28 looks like it's their 25 gig ports. Man, that is some serious data throughput. Many of you know that my preferred method of setting up networks, is to trunk those SFP Plus ports back into your system and creating this massive pipeline of data to go throughout between the switches and then let the switches handle the endpoints. This is great. 4 SFP Plus ports is really good because you can trunk those, 2 of those back. And if they're SFP Plus, okay, so we got 20 gigs that go back to the rest of the network, and you could use a fiber core. If you're really planning this out, use a fiber core and have everything go into the core, but then have 2 additional SFP at 10 gigs to plug in computers and stuff, right? So you could buy a fiber cage or an external Thunderbolt or something like that does 40 gigs, and you could put one of those SFP Plus 10 gigs into the switch from your computer. And now you've got 10 gig throughput from your computer all the way basically into the core of your system. And it's going to be hard to max that out unless you're doing a massive installation. And then, you know, the piece that I'm driving at here is you really don't want your network to be the bottleneck or to be the issue, right? You want it to just have way more than it needs, and you can expand or reconfigure the fleet however you'd like, and it doesn't really matter how you do it. Now, there are some switches, though, that are on this list that are different form factors that they're not on this particular list. Okay, so maybe it's the PoE Plus. Maybe they're just straight PoE. Okay, so if I add those, there was a few on this list that I noticed that. Oh, or are they non-PoE switches? Maybe they're non. They're like half form factor. Yeah, check this out. So this little guy, no PoE budget, but they have 10 gig ports, multi-gig ports, and then they have SFP Plus configuration, 8 of them. This would be so handy to have in like an office and stuff. It needs to be PoE, but it would be really handy to have. What I like, it's stackable too. That's cool. What I like about these, holy smokes, man, look at that. That's crazy. Here's your fiber core. Or what you could use as your fiber core. Yeah, there's some pretty cool configurations here. Redundant and removable power. Okay, so here's the thing on these switches with the removable power thing. So you can, does it show? Come on, guys. There. These power supplies can be replaced, which is so cool. It says that it has redundant power, so it looks like this is that. I want to see this picture closer or clearer. Let's see if we've got something else going on here. There we go. I don't know if that's actually a cage on there, or like an additional cage, or if it's just another adapter. But what I would really want is redundant removable power, right? So let's see if that's an option. Redundant power. Removable power. Okay, so if we click on this, what do we got here? Yeah, look at this. So you have removable power supplies, and these are probably power banks, but then you have a redundant power also on this. I mean, So you run it to multiple battery backups, and it can kind of balance the load. But man, that is so stinking cool that there's all these power options. I really would love to see a comparison chart between the 4250 line and the 4350 line. I haven't come across that yet, but maybe I'm just not Googling the right thing. But yeah, that would be great to find out a little bit more about that. Hey, what's going on, Laura? Welcome over there in BC. Hopefully you're doing well. My Switch. These are you have a 4350 or 4250? Because this is the new 4350 line, and they just announced this at Infocom. So if you already have one of these, kudos to you, but I doubt it. It looks like 8 out of the 12 support multi-gig, and then 4 out of the 12 support PoE++, compared to 1 out of 13 and 3 out of 13 for the 4250s. Good catch. Yeah, I would love to see more of the comparison between the fully managed line that they have. Maybe... So 4250s, 1 gig AV, 4350s, flexible 1 gig to 25 gigs IT over AV, and then the 4500s that, dude, I mean, this is AV over IP, but this doesn't look like it's well, is that the 43? Does it do the web UI stuff? Because that's the piece where layer protocol stacking, fan, alternate types of primary ports management. So it has a web UI. I wonder if it's the actual AV web UI. I haven't heard much about these. That's why I'm a little bit surprised. But that thing is a ridiculous. That's a ridiculous switch, is what that is right there. Anyways, this stuff with the swappable power supplies and stuff, that's so cool. In a serious AV installation, I mean, this is where you would probably gravitate towards. And these looks like they're all stackable, or there's at least options for that. Like this guy's stackable. All of these are, right? Stacking, yes. Yeah, so these ones are, that one. Yeah. So, really neat. Cool announcement. I mean, I just ran across it at Infocom when just some of their stuff that some of their marketing materials went up on LinkedIn and said, "Oh, we announced this at Infocom," and I thought, "Oh man, what did I miss?" So I have a 4300. Wowzers. Impressive. How does that work for you? The 4500 smells like SMPTE 2110 territory. Yeah, it does. Given the stats on that switch, it 100% looks like that, doesn't it? Because, come on back now. Fully managed switch from Netgear. Yeah, so this, given the 100 gig throughput, up to 100 gig throughput, 8 times 100 gigs. Yeah, that is some serious horsepower. And it's so funny to like contrast this against like some of the conversations we have, because people are like, "Oh, I'm using my TP-Link, 8-port that I got from Best Buy for $40." And I'm like, "Oh man, like I get it, but look at the look at the industry and look at what like people are using to do this." And then, really think that through. Not to say that you shouldn't do NDI if you don't have a huge budget, but I am saying if you want the highest possible performance, you probably need to be looking at an AV line switch. And it doesn't have to be Netgear, but today I'm very, very interested to learn more about the 4350 line. The primary thing, I mean, obviously this little chart here shows that the catalyst is the larger throughput, which honestly that is part of it. Like that's part of I will say that's part of the problem when we talk about NDI networking is you got to be sure that you have the infrastructure to handle it, and whether it's a proper backbone or whether it's a proper endpoint switch or edge switch or whatever you're doing, It just seems like you need to consider that. And Netgear, maybe this is their response to those demands, because people want to scale it and, do the networking portion properly. And so this is the way to do that. That's for sure. I believe this is Judson. What's going on, Judson? How are you? I am doing well. We're chatting today about the 4350 AV line, which looks to be just higher processing, higher stats from the surface, from what I've seen so far. That is what it sounds like. So I'm still foraging for information, though we haven't done that yet. But yeah, the 4350 line is pretty cool. Now, let's see if Netgear M4350. Let's see if there's like any videos about the announcement. So, this is the primary architect. This is, I think his name is Larry. Maybe he'll tell us here in a second. But one second, let me load this video and try and make this full screen. But I also want to make sure you guys can hear this. So give me a second. Excuse me. All right, let me see. Where is the desktop one? Sorry, I got so many audio sources. Sorry, I'm coughing like crazy for some reason. All right, let me see if we can hear. I know you can't hear that yet. Okay, so I know that this is the architect for. Uh-oh. Where's the screen capture option here? Wait a minute. I'm missing screen capture, but it's running. It's capturing. Oh, you know what? vMix is capturing this. Oh. Hang on. No, that's not true. I'm so confused. NDI screen capture is not showing up in my tray, so I can't manipulate the audio. And I can't turn it off. That's not good. Okay, so if I go to... All right, give me a second here, folks. This is real world right here, is what this is. I'm gonna dump this and kill screen capture, which should be down here. Let's change sort by name. Yikes, CPU is not happy about doing this, that's for sure. All right, NDI screen capture. There you are. End this task. And then, what is chewing up the CPU right now? vMix and then some system processes. So that's fun. Okay. So if all right, looks like I have officially lost it. So that phrase is truer by the day. All right, so now, there we go. Okay, cool. So now I'm going to make that full screen. And I'm going to go to NDI screen capture. And I'm going to say audio source. I want this to be system audio. Who knows what you're going to hear, by the way. But if we go to desktop and we play this video. Okay. Hopefully you're not going to hear double. That's my only... So this is a 2-minute video. And this is the Netgear rep. Let's see if we can listen in. There's got to be an easier way to do this, folks. All right, here we go.
Hi everyone, this is Laurent Mazia. I'm with Netgear. We are at Infocom 2023 in Orlando. Welcome to the Netgear booth. This is our opening day. We are extremely happy to reveal our brand new M4350 series to the world. As you may know, Netgear started in the AV world almost 10 years ago with the M4300s and 4500s. The 4250s were introduced a couple years ago for the 1 gig AV over IP world. The M4350 is the new high-end complement to the 4300s. They are black, they are as quiet as the 4250 with quiet mode, intelligent fans. And what's very interesting over the M4300 is that they come with a larger fabric. So we can range from 1 gig to 2.5 to 25 to 100 gig uplinks to build even more robust and powerful AV over IP networks. On the PoE side, what's new is that every single 10 gig base T ports comes with PoE Plus or PoE++. And across the board, the M4350 series is managed the exact same way using the Netgear Engage controller and the AV user interface with the M4300s and M4250, and soon enough the 4500s. So the 4350 is here to stay as the new top of the line at Netgear. I just want to mention one interesting point. Next month in July, the first 6 models are shipping, and later in the year, by December, January 24, the next 6 4350 models will ship, and 2 of them will do the SMPTE ST2110 for the broadcast world and studios. Thank you for watching. Any information about Netgear AV, please go to www.netgear.com/AV. And to discover more about the latest M4350 series generation of AV switchers, please go to www.netgear.com/M4350. Thank you.
Okay, well that's interesting. Whoa. All right, sorry. Autoplay. That's very interesting indeed. So, yeah, so initially, what we can say that we know so far from that quick little intro is that they are black and they have silent fans, the quiet mode fans. But what it looks like is the 4250s are the expectation for the low-end integration of AV over IP. Dante probably functions just fine. You know, small to mid-size NDI, whether you're doing full or HX. If you're expanding into a larger installation and you're doing a lot of NDI across your entire fleet, you might consider doing something that has a stronger backbone. And yes, today's quote, to do AV over IP, you need to grow a backbone. Oh, that's great. That's today's quote, everybody. Thanks, NetHab. Thanks for keeping me humble. Yes, I agree. Judson, I assume this is still you, that this looks really cool. I would love to see the performance of these things. This sort of technology always makes me very, very excited. Now, the plan is that those will be launching. That's what was announced here, is that the first iteration of these will be launching in July, and the second iteration will probably be early next year, which is great. That is a reasonable timeline, I think. It's from what I know of Netgear's promises, so they'll be able to launch those. But what he said is that these were complements to the 4300 line, or I'm sorry, these are complement switches to the 4300 line, which I thought was an interesting statement. He didn't say that these would be like the backbone switches of the 4250 lines. He didn't even talk about integration with the 4250 line of switches. He talked about the integration with the 4300s. Now, 4300 is switch that the 4300 series are the switches that people do for large like corporate AV installations. Okay, that's like the serious. Those are the Nike shoe version in the AV realm. And again, the AV, the networking world is very funny because you have guys that scoff at other brands of switches. Like, it's cliche, but the Cisco guys are typically the ones that get thrown under the bus here because they have Cisco certification and Cisco commands, and like everything is tailored to how Cisco switches interact with each other, and they're very diverse and incredibly robust, but they don't play nice with everyone else. And so if you use a different brand and you say this in front of people, they might not think you're a serious network administrator because you don't use Cisco. It's like that Ron White joke about his brother-in-law making fun of him because he didn't buy a Lexus and he bought a van instead. And, it's kind of like, okay, well, life isn't that serious, to be honest with you. It might be for you, but it's not for us. So that is, it all depends on if you take it in stride or if you believe in pledging allegiances to network switching companies or whatever. I just love it because these guys focus on the NDI AV realm. And it is what really needed to happen in order for NDI to be taken to a level of seriousness that is where we were hoping it was going. And I know NDI was hoping that it would obviously catch on and become a standard. And now when you go to conferences like Infocom or NAB or whatever, NDI is like one of the standards. And it's one of the quickest ways to get up and running in the AV over IP realm for video especially, but it's also a part of everyday conversation now when you're talking about how do you transport video. There's still SRT, there's still RTMP, RTMPS, RTSP, all of these different protocols, but NDI is in there as a high performance, low latency protocol that is widely accepted by lots of softwares, lots of platforms. It's a great way to integrate, and it's fairly flexible. Now, it isn't a unbox it and plug it into whatever it is you have going on your network. That's not what it is. Okay, let's maybe just cut the edges off of this a little bit here. The reason why Netgear is launching things like the 4350, I think, is because the demand is high for high performance, and they see the network piece as the item that needs to be rock solid and not the bottleneck, right? So on a switch that's talking to a bird dog camera, a 10 gig port is not necessarily going to be required. However, if that was your backbone where all of your computer infrastructure was plugging into and they all had 10 gig access, and then you brought in all your sources on 1 gig switches, man, that would be a very wise configuration. Have all your switches that are out with your endpoints or on your edges of your network, have them all 1 gig capable with PoE plus, and then have 10 gig SFP pluses, all coming back to a very robust 10 gig core fiber core. And you can do this inside the 4250 line as well. You can bring them all back towards a fiber core, and then that is stacked on with a 10 port, or an 8 port 10 gig Ethernet switch that all your computer infrastructures, all of your switching softwares, your TriCaster, your vMix machine, your whatever, they're all plugged into that at 10 gigs. I mean, the network's not going to be the problem. If you're experiencing issues with drop frames, that's not going to be the issue. It's going to be your hardware or it's going to be your camera, which is what I love about the way that the networking world is, at least the way that Netgear's philosophy is going. I love this about it because they're removing the hurdles that people are running into by using less sophisticated or underpowered networks. They're basically saying, look, if you use this fleet for your AV installation, the network's not going to be the problem. And shout out to Netgear, by the way, because the last time I talked to them over at Pro AV Design at netgear.com, that team, super responsive, really helpful, willing to jump in and give you a hand with setting things up and make sure that the network is configured the way that they expect it to. And here's another thing that you may not know is that they actually have NDI sources and active conversations with companies that are doing NDI and making sure that they are in line with what we're producing. And so I know that they've been having regular conversations with NDI.TV, that company, NDI, and they're actively pursuing a relationship with them so that they can get the profiles right. But that they have spoken with Bird Dog, they've spoken with me about installations and about the way that they design their stuff. That gentleman in particular that we just watched on the video, I've spoken with him on the phone, and we've talked about various installations and configuration options and whatever. I've also presented network topography designs and said, is this, do you see any flaws with this, or would you recommend a different configuration? And him and I have worked on some stuff. So, look, I'm a big fan of the 4250 line. I'm really looking forward to seeing this high-end 4350 line. My one pushback is I wonder what it will be priced. Because I think if you want people to jump full tilt into this, especially in the broadcast realm, if you want people to get on board with you, you have to be ultra competitive in your price. If they had everything, I love the product. I love the web design. I love the development philosophy. I love their integration. I love their support stuff. So far, they're batting 1,000, right? But if you're priced way outside where the average guy can't participate in, it doesn't matter how great your products are, most of the world can't participate. And maybe they make their money from, selling to corporate environments where they're going to buy 1,000 of these switches and put them in 4 or 5 installations. And that's how they, that's the model. Okay, fine. But I think you could really do well by being ultra competitive on this price. And my example is the little desktop 8-porter that they have. They launched that last year at NAB, and I haven't actually gotten my hands on one. But one of my I won't say disappointments, but just one of my that's a bummer. I guess it's a disappointment. But one of my things about that is that it's priced like $50 less than a full-on 1U switch. And I'll be honest with you, as a networking guy, if I'm going to buy a switch, I want it to be tucked away. And it's like, well, that's not necessarily the option for everybody. It's like, I know, but I want it to be tidy. I want it to be tucked away. And if it's $50 more for me to get that one over the 8-porter, it's hard for me to want to spare the table space for that. Now, if it was like a few $100s cheaper, yes, that's worth it for me, because you can swing that in a lot better. Look, we could buy the 1U version. It's $899. Or we could buy this, this desktop version. It's $599. That's an easier sell. If you're working with churches and you're working with installations, look, we can get the same performance with this smaller one. It's just going to sit on the desk. But if it's $50 cheaper, it's like, let's tidy this up and make this look really professional for $50 more. And maybe that's the point. Maybe they're trying to get people to upsell the bigger switches, but I don't know. I don't know if that, if that philosophy, where they land. I haven't spoken with this gentleman. There's another sales guy, John Hinkle, who I know there's another video of him out here. And so, what's hilarious is this show right now, I typed in Netgear M4350 YouTube, and my live show is the second one in line. That's crazy. Look at this. It's right here. There's all these videos, and then look, hang on, Netgear announced an M4350. Come by and watch us forge for information. This is what I put on YouTube. It did a Google search on the YouTube video, and it found M4350. Apparently, there's not a lot of information about 4350s, and that means all their announcements are here. But is this the one with John? I saw that there was one with John Hinkle. Nope, that's same. Oh, no, that's a similar. Oh, they did 2 videos. All right, let's watch this. Showcasing the Engage controller. Oh, yeah. For all of them. Okay, so let's, can you guys hear this?
Hi, this is Laurent Mazia with Netgear. Welcome to the Netgear booth here at Infocom 2023. This is our opening day. Happy to come to you a second time after the brand new M4350 series that we are introducing here at the show. I want to show you and tell about the Netgear Engage controller. What is that? The Netgear Engage controller is a central configuration software for all the Netgear AV line switchers for any AV project. So of course we support the 4250s, the 4300s, but on this show we have a lot of 4350 new switches. What this Engage controller is doing, it is allowing you to go faster for the configuration, because after onboarding your devices, you can centrally build your AV profiles, such as this one for the video over IP, VLAN ID, port color. You can then, across the network, select the ports that you want to use for your AV over IP deployment. What's new with the Netgear Engage 1.2 is that now we can not only manipulate the profiles and the port settings, but we can also manipulate the different VLANs at the layer 3. So the gorgeous thing is that now, centrally in the Engage 1.2, we can activate the layer 3 configuration of our new profile, fire up our DHCP server for your AV endpoints, and more than that, use a Excel spreadsheet to import your static reservations centrally right into your Engage controller, so that all your AV endpoints gets their static IP addresses. So that's the new Engage 1.2. It will be released very soon, this month in June. Please check out www.netgear.com/engage for downloading the 1.2 version that will work, of course, as usual, on your Windows PCs and Macintosh machines. Moreover, with this Engage 1.2 introduction, I want to mention two other things that Netgear is doing here at the show. We are coming with 3 new profiles with Crestron for the entire Crestron ecosystem, with Harman SVSI AMX for this entire ecosystem, and with Visionary Solutions. Those 3 profiles will be live a little bit later at the end of the month, maybe July 1st. We want to provide an even better experience within those ecosystems with detection and a lot more information on the devices for each single of these 3 great partners. And last but not the least, I want to tell you a good news. Later on this year, we are going to onboard the SDVoE controller from Semtech, so that directly from a Netgear M4350 switch, we can manage a whole lot of encoders and decoders throughout the SDVoE ecosystem. Thank you for your attention. Please come to us, to the Netgear booth during this Infocom. Again, 4350 Engage 1.2, our new profiles with Crestron, SVSI, and Visionary Solutions, and the SDVoE controller are the hot topics this year. Thank you.
Okay, so that's so stinking cool, man. Yeah, so we need to look into that a little bit more, because if that is, now you can manipulate. I knew that you could manipulate the profiles, to some degree, but if where are we here? I had opened. Okay, we're doing an installation process here, so hopefully this doesn't necessarily crash the stream. It might, though, because the CPU is just chugging along, that's for sure. So hold, please. Okay, so I have downloaded the latest. Now look, it's the end of the month, right? So, hey, it's Will Waters. We're going to watch that one next. So, hello and welcome to Engage. So I want to show this. All right, here we go. So here we go with the Engage software. And, you can see that I've got various versions. Oh, it looks like we got firmware updates that can be done. I've got various versions around the office, but these site settings are so you can create your own VLANs all within here and then apply them. Oh, that's funny. It hasn't figured out how these are all connected. Mostly because they're not connected together. They're connected through a Unify system, which I need to probably get rid of. And switch over to 4250 so that this all works, but we can see at least the neighboring information. Anyways, right here in the studio, this is the switch that's sitting right next to me, and so it is nice and quiet, thankfully. So if I go into configure, does it give me the option to do the port config? Whoa. Okay, so that wasn't necessarily the same screen that they had shown. This switch is in our office, but it needs to be reconnected via fiber in order for that to work correctly. Launch the switch UI, update the firmware, reboot now and remove. Okay, cool. So that's all very useful. You can change the names right here. Controller management. Oh. Is this where it was? Please send us, look, ProAVDesign at Netgear.com. Tech supports to download these. So they have dump files? Oh, my. Everybody take note. This is very useful. Very useful stuff, okay? Site configuration file, controller log file. I mean, this is the way. So it doesn't really show anything here. Shows the studio online. Oh, look at that. It doesn't show how they're connected, which is hilarious because they all go back to a fiber core but it's not a Netgear fiber core. It should be, but they don't. So yeah, for those of you who are watching, please take note. Please include dump files in your program that does this, that unifies all this data in one place. And I'm saying that mostly for my own record that I said it here. Man, this is so stinking cool. You basically set up your network profile and then you apply it to your network, and then you can, it looked like on the latest one, like here in the studio, on the latest one, you could configure all that stuff. Now, this is just the UI. So I could configure these ports right here and add them to various VLANs. Look, here's that information, right? So, but if we switch over to like Knut, so I got one in my office that's in a network rack in my office. If we switch over there, look at network profiles. Look, all those network profiles are here too. And so it looks like the Engage software is at least making sure everybody's talking together. Now, the profile that I built for the agents, oh, that might be on their switch alone. I don't know. But yeah, this is so stinking cool, man. I love it. The 4300 is fantastic. Seems to work great. I love how I have 10 bird dog cameras on it with a 10 gig to a TriCaster Elite 2, and the video servers are super fast. Hey, this is so too. Cisco folks drink from the Kool-Aid. In my experience, that's just how that goes. But John, I've been dealing with several of the Pro AV people at Netgear, and they continue to be terrific in suggesting solutions that work. And thank you for your intro and setup of the 4250 videos. I've referred that to a few times, and it was extremely helpful. Awesome. I am so glad to hear that, MTash, that you have found that useful. That's makes it all worth it, Fleet Manager have dump files? Asking for a friend. I do not know. The Fleet Manager is not in its final form, and so that is constantly changing as time goes along, and so I don't know what the final say will be with Fleet Manager, but if you were going to have a place where you could unify all that information, you would really hope that you could generate those dump files. So as you're 4250, 4350 fleet increases and grows. And I did notice that on that demonstration, he had 4250s and 350s working all at the same time together. So there you go. So I have a friend, his name's Will, and he works for Dante. He actually recently went over there, and he has a video up. This video was put up, NDI versus Dante. So Will comes from pro AV background. He was one of the NDI champions when Dr. Cross was around, and so Will knows this industry very well. He's a buddy of mine that I actually went to school with ages ago. He was at Infocom, NDI and Dante at Infocom 2023, plus Magewell Dante's sneak peek. So let's see.
Everybody, Paul here from the Stream Geeks and PTZ Optics, and we're at Infocom 2023. I'm here with Will Waters.
Hello.
Will has a brand new job. He spent a decade plus working with NewTek and NDI. Now he's working with Audinate, helping to launch the new Dante AV product.
Dante AV, you know, all this IP, video and IP thing, audio and IP thing, it might catch on a little bit.
And we are just about to get on stage at the main Infocom education sessions right over here. And if you've ever been to Infocom, you know that it's not just about walking the showroom floor and seeing vendors. It's also a lot about education.
Yes.
And so you can get your continual education credits if you're a professional audiovisual integrator. Our session is NDI versus Dante.
Just gonna duke it out. No,
I'm gonna try to talk about the benefits of the NDI. Will's gonna cover Dante.
Oh, those pictures.
They're very different technologies, but they do similar things. So it'll be interesting for, I think, the pro AV industry to learn more about this.
Yeah, figure out where you should use what the.
This is cool. It has nothing to do with what it is that we're talking about right now, other than the 4350s probably work across all of that. But anyways, that's cool stuff. I do want to find, there was one video here where they were interviewing 4350 Infocom 23. And my friend Mr. John Hinkle was on the screen. This is John here, but it was an introduction. Oh, nuts. I saw it right before the show started, and of course now I can't find it. Infocom. Well, we'll just have to go to the YouTubes, youtube.com. And I'll do this while I don't need this all to be on full screen. Oh, and you know what? Maybe I clicked on it and it's in my history? Yep, it's right here. Okay, let's see what we can come up with here. We will not watch all 11
Hi everybody,
minutes
I'm
of this
Toby
video.
Tungle with AV Nation. I am on the show floor at Infocom 2023 in wonderful, humid Orlando, Florida. I'm here with John with Netgear. John, how are you today, sir?
Great, Toby. Good to see you again. Thanks for stopping by.
Absolutely. I always love coming to see Netgear. Are you kidding me? We have a great time. So, booth looks fantastic. It's beautiful. I love the black on black. I understand the whole uniform is black on black as well. Is that planned this year?
It's planned as part of our branding effort to make sure everybody's black and black. Well, like I said, every now and then, somebody might stop by.
People are wearing light blue pants. I kind of like that, right?
The bottom line is they can wear whatever they want below.
Oh.
Netgear branding shirt on top.
Okay.
And then you're good to go.
I think you're going to have to talk with him later on.
I'll have a
That
conversation.
cameo was Cody. We love Cody, by the way.
We did.
So you guys had a lot of good announcements today. That was day one of the show. Traffic's been really good for you?
Really busy. It's been really good. Yeah.
Okay, so we're not going to talk boring stuff, maybe a little bit. But I understand you guys got a new Switch that just came out. I just was over there kind of watching a little bit of the demo.
Yeah.
What's the hot item? What's the cool thing? What's the neat little thing that nobody else is doing with it?
Well, I'd say the neat thing is it's 12 switches actually, Toby, not just one. So it's the M4350 series, and it's 12 switches. 7 of them are out in July. The other 5 will be out in December, January timeframe. So for this crowd, it doesn't mean as much, I'll say, but SMPTE 2110 support for broadcast is coming on those switches later in the year too.
That's a hot word.
That's
right
pretty
now.
cool. Yeah. So broadcast has NDI, they've got IPMX, they've got all kinds of things. SMPTE 2110 has been kind of the gold standard, of course. So we have that coming up on our switches later in the year. For here and now, the cool thing is there's these 7 models right away, and they go up to 100 gig uplinks. So it's multi-gig, 1, 2.5, 10, 20, 40, 100 gigs. So whatever you need. half rack, full rack width, boom. I mean, we got it covered.
It's such an amazing how some of that has evolved in just the last couple of years for you guys, because you've taken all that bandwidth, listen to the customers,
the
listen
half
to the
rack
manufacturers
option,
that are trying to do AV over IP
because you
solutions,
can buy
and you keep pushing that
different
boundary
switches
just to
that are
stay
half
a little bit
racks
in front of
and
them.
mix
Where
them together
you
and
both know
save
some
space.
guys are trying to catch up to you guys, which I think is really, really good. Because people know Netgear, but they don't know Netgear Pro AV and do different things from that perspective.
Yep.
I saw a lot of the powered
there's a
by
bird dog
Netgear
camera
signs
up
out
there
there. I
behind
think
John's
I saw
shoulder.
over 100 in the last couple
It's like a
hours. It's probably way
P200,
more than
P400
that.
white.
You guys support a lot of the other manufacturers in the booths here, right?
Absolutely, and that's been a fun thing for us. We've been a small presence often. This year we're a little larger presence because we know we got to step it up and show that love for the community. But
Boom,
for us,
it's a
having
400.
switches all around the show floor, there's even wireless access points that we make that are on shows, like ours up on the corner here too. So not just our wired products, our wireless products are also making a hit. People just know that we can support them at the booth because everything's networked at the booth. Not to mention their own products of AV over IP, but just their networking infrastructure at the booth they need us for. And we bring a bunch of switches to shows. We hand them out like, you need a switch, we got a switch. Because you never know, last minute you're going to need something.
Yeah.
And then, like you say, powered by Netgear, they're happy to show that. They're happy to show the love that we're helping them figure out the complex part about AV over IP.
So you have wireless. Can I get on the wireless right now?
Absolutely.
There's like 5,000 wireless.
I know, right?
now.
Good old Infocom is probably completely overcrowded with wireless signals. But yeah, like this stuff, oh man. I'm sad that I missed the trade shows this year because it sounded like there was a lot of cool stuff that got shown at the actual trade show. And the networking realm, that whole conversation is something we talk about every week. And it'd be great to kind of see the horsepower. Again, I'm very interested to know if anybody has heard anything about pricing or what it's gonna cost to get a 4350. I'd love to find out, mostly because if it's uber competitive, and we can argue about what that subjectively means, but if it's crazy competitive, then hands down it becomes the only way to do it, right? And everybody standardizes to it, especially because it seems like I've only heard of one or two other AV networking companies that are serious about the actual video over IP realm, and the rest are just kind of doing it like they do data, which is a bummer because it does need a little bit of attention. But Netgear is probably way out in front right now, and to make them, I don't know what their pricing structure is or their philosophy for that matter. It's totally up to them. And I have no idea what their R&D overhead is. I have no idea what the manufacturing overhead is, what it even costs to make. Maybe they are scraping, at the prices that they're at. I don't know. But, yeah, the more competitive you can make it, if you can be this innovative and have really competitive pricing, then it becomes a no-brainer. And it standardizes the whole industry in terms of, you're doing full NDI or, you're doing NDI period. You're definitely... It would be a surprise if you weren't on a 4250 or a 4300, right? So that's where I think it needs to get to. But anyways, I'm looking forward to running into John. John's a great guy. He's the gentleman on the video. I mean, I'm John, but he's John. And John with an H. He's a great guy. I did an interview with him in the Bird Dog podcast booth that we had back in 2022 at NAB. And just a straightforward guy, easy to chat with, and really full-heartedly believes in the product line. So it's really fun to work alongside guys like that. Hey, greetings. What's going on, Gadgets? Hopefully you're doing well. And I like my switches like I like my coffee, black and in silence. I made coffee right before the show started, and then I never went out and got some. So I will be drinking that right after the show. But today I've got water just in case, you get a little dehydrated. So there we go. We'll take care of that. Heinrich, what's going on? Hi from South Africa and Johannesburg. Please do the Bird Dog Android TV box app next. So this would be the Android app for TVs is what you're referring to, which is available for purchase on some platforms. Okay, so when it launched, a couple things happened. We weren't super specific about it, which we needed to be, and it went up for like Bird Dog, or it went up for like tablets and stuff on the Google Play Store, and it wasn't supposed to be up for tablets. So it is for certain TVs. It comes with a watermark before you purchase it because not all TVs are created equal. meaning they don't have enough memory or processing power to actually run the app, and so or accept that level of data through the networking port on the back of it. So be sure that you double check and you make sure that it works seamlessly with the watermark before you buy it. Okay, and then somebody said, well, what's the point in having a BirdDog Play if I can just buy the app for the TV? And the answer there is, well, not all the TVs can run the app, first of all. And second of all, what if it's a Samsung? That's not an Android base, right? So Samsung has their own OS. LG has their own OS. I think Sony is an Android base, and TLC and Vizio, I don't know, I can't remember. But I do know my Samsungs, which I love in this office, by the way. I'm a Samsung TV guy. They do not run the BirdDog app, which is a bummer because they're not Android based. They're Web OS based. So there you go. What's going on, GoWeb? How are you? Hopefully you're doing well. Say hello to Sanaya for me. Hey, I'm looking for a monitor to pair with my BirdDog PTZ keyboard so that when the operator switches cameras, the monitor will switch to that camera. What's a good monitor for this dedicated purpose? Studio monitor. Studio monitor is what you should use. Because you should just run Studio monitor on a PC, but you could use, I suppose you could decode the keyboard router source on like a Flex Out or something like that, right? The specific monitor is not necessarily, unless you want to use the app, I guess is maybe why you're asking. So again, it needs to be Android based. And it needs to probably be somewhat beefy in terms of its specs. You know, it should have the ability to have apps and, you know, run heavier ones. But if you're referring to the actual app, I don't have a make and model of a TV that we recommend. I should get them from HQ because they obviously are testing them there with their televisions and making sure that they work on a handful of them. Now, full disclosure, folks, there is no way that we're going to be able to test every TV out there. Okay, that's why we supply it for free with a watermark for you to verify that your television can handle it. But there is really no way that we can verify every TV can handle it. But yeah, I would look around for, you know, TVs that run Android. And then, you know, most current models. So something past 2021 for sure, or newer. Because those ones tend to have more onboard memory and processing ability. And the ports on the back are genuine 1 gig ports. We've noticed that there are a lot of the ports on the back, and this goes for the USB ports as well. They hide them under the caveat that those are just for maintenance. Those are just maintenance ports. They're not performance level stuff. For example, the USB power on TVs, those USB ports are generally used for firmware updates when you're doing them via USB stick. They're not designed to power devices, although we're designing Google, for example, Google Chromecast, they power off of USB, so it's assumed that you use the USB port on the back of the television to power it. Well, Google or the television manufacturers put a little line in their user manuals that say, well, those are just maintenance ports. They're not really supposed to be for, everyday use. That's cute because there are people that are designing like, BirdDog Play where we're powering the device off of that port. We'll come to find out we need 1.2 amps. And a lot of those are just 1.0 or whatever. 1.2 amps? Amps or volts? Or man, I can't remember. I'll Google it. But anyways, we require a little more than what the base level is for USB-A and USB-A style ports. And we've got caught a little bit because people are like, it's underpowered, it's overheating. It's like, well, it's because the TV you're using a USB port that's really just for firmware updates and it's not expecting to output power. Now, there are some TVs that have multiple USB ports, and so if you have 3, for example, you'll have one that's a USB firmware update maintenance port, and then you have 2 that are actually for media files or videos or something like that you can load into the TV and have as your backgrounds or whatever, those ports are generally running 2.5 or 1.2, either way. So you have to play around with it a little bit. But to answer your question, James, as best I can, is look for something that's recent and will run the latest version of Android OS. You'll probably be pretty safe with that. We have a 2019 Sony TV in here, and it struggles a bit with the app. But I know that the app runs perfectly fine at HQ. I just don't know exactly what makes and models that they are using. So I should find that out for you. Sorry for not having that information more readily available. All right, let's move away from this. And for those of you who have checked in for me, I really appreciate that, everybody. Look at you all hanging out around the world. So this is what that QR code is here at the top of the screen. That's what this feeds into. It asks your country and your city. And if you tell me those two things, you can anonymously put a dot on the map, and we can check in and see where you're at. So really neat that you guys have done that today, and I love collecting this data. Not that I use it for anything, but I just really love knowing where you guys are watching from. It's fun to find out in real time, and I know that there's at least 19 devices right now checking in, and there'll probably be a handful more of you over on LinkedIn as well. So love that. Thank you so much for being with us today. If I go to LinkedIn, it shows me 5 more devices at LinkedIn. So there you go. So if you're on LinkedIn, by the way, it doesn't tell me that you're over there. And so feel free to join us at birddogjohn.tv, and that for sure will show up in my stats. And you can subscribe to that show, and that's everything I do right here on this channel is birddogjohn.tv. And then I'll support it out to other places, Twitch and the Bird Dog YouTube page and LinkedIn. But that is where we are. And, of course, as always, twice a week at least, for 60 minutes at least, 11 to 12 or 11 to beyond 12 o'clock, we try and provide here Eastern time U.S., try and provide an opportunity for you to ask your NDI questions. And it's turned into more of an educational stream over the past couple of months in terms of just teaching concepts and ideas. But by all means, bring your tickets and your questions and your NDI ideas to the show. I'm happy to talk to you about those things, because we want to be an available resource in real time. We're a global support department, so even if we had a phone number or something like that, not everybody's going to be able to use it. So I want to be online twice a week. I want to be available for you to chat with in real time wherever you are in the world. And the great example is GoWeb. He's over in India, and he chats with us quite frequently on this channel about things. And so he, special thanks to him for hanging out with us all the time. But he's a great example. Or guys over in Australia. I got 2 guys, somebody up in Queensland and somebody in Perth, it looks like. So those folks, I don't have a local phone number for them to call me. So this is that avenue. This is where everybody can chat with me. We're all on the even playing field here. I'm not playing favorites with anybody. And, you can feel free to ask your questions, and we'll try and get you answers. And if not, I can direct you in the way to find an answer. So that's one of the advantageous things and it's a free resource for you. You don't even have to be a Bird Dog user to be with us here on the show. You can be just an enthusiast or just interested in hanging out with us, or just wanting to learn more. And wherever you are around the world, feel free to check in. So scan that little QR code at the top of the screen, and with your phone or a device, we'll take you to a generic Google web form. You can put in your country, you can put in your city, then we can find out where everybody's from. And that's really fun. It's fairly anonymous, although I know who my Canadians are. So it's fairly anonymous for the most part where everybody is. And now, side note, I have a couple of people that are out today in the support office, and so things are a little bit strange today because it's just a little disconnected. But we are a little underpowered. We will try our very best to get back to anybody who's submitted tickets today. Again, feel free to ask them here on the show while we're still live. But I got people that are covering tickets. I got guys that are doing inspections and repairs and whatever. So feel free to check in. What's going on, Lewis? Hi from Spain. What's going on? Hopefully you're doing well. Thanks for checking in with us today. Appreciate that. All right. So That's what this is. I try and do this heat map thing every time just because it's fun to see you guys check in over the hour and a half or so that we're online. And the big news from Infocom, from Netgear, is that they're launching the 4350 line, which is basically a large corporate-style AV switch. And it has a massive backbone, has the ability to do large amounts of data per port, not limited to 1 gig, which is where the 4250 line starts. I don't know if this is reasonable or not, but I think we should start thinking about the 4250 line as the entry-level AV switch for Netgear, 4350 as the far more serious commercial level, corporatized switch for AV installations. But serious, if you're an installer or you do this for a living or you make money helping churches find their whoa, what is that dot? If you make your money finding, getting churches online over in Hawaii, no way somebody checked in from Hawaii. Get out of here. Tell me who you are. Show up in the chat. Go to bird.john.tv and just let me know who you are. That's so cool if you're actually checking in from Hawaii. Oh, that's so great. Thank you so much. I was like, wait, out there, that's got to be Hawaii. And it sure enough is. Very cool. Or maybe you're just messing with me. One way or the other. Somebody checked in from Hawaii. So if you're in the industry and you make money by helping churches or schools or whoever get up online and do video over AV, I mean, anymore, I don't know why you choose not to use the 4250 line unless you just have some sort of sour taste in your mouth or you have some sort of strange allegiance to some other, line of switching. Maybe you're a Cisco person through and through, or you can't break yourself away from using Unify. But oh, that's weird. Ooh, I don't like that at all. I'm gonna mute the okay, so I mean the 4250 line really it's hard for me to move away from it when I'm talking about NDI stuff, mostly because all right, I can start this up. Mostly because it makes a lot of usability for you. I mean, it speeds up the install. You can do all the configuration before you even go on site, but then you can drop it in. You can probably train the people that are going to be using it fairly straightforward, or you can set it up where you can remote in and centrally control everything. And if you're doing the DHCP, configuration that I spoke about last week, it centralizes the control for the entire system. And so if you configure it that way, then you literally just can remote in and service the customer, and it lowers their costs, it lowers your costs, and allows you to kind of maximize a revenue stream. So again, it's kind of becoming synonymous with NDI in general to be using proper AV line switches. Doesn't mean you can't do it without, but it does mean that your life is going to probably be a little bit more difficult than if you were to do a different switch line. So I love the 4350 idea. I'm really excited to see what that means, and how it gets implemented. The conversations, the Engage software looks like it's been re-upped. Now they said that by the end of June they're going to have the latest version of it kind of up and running, and this is what it currently looks like. Obviously, I need to do some switch updates here, which I guess I could do. I'm going to do the one in my office, which is this one here. New firmware update is available, so continue, and it's going to be 40 megs. So update. This is what this sort of unified software should look like, by the way. If you're going to have all of your products listed in a single place, it should be like this. Click on the one that you want to download and update it. That's what it should be. This is a great example of what I think we're hoping Fleet Manager will be. If not at launch, then one day. But this is like the third or fourth version of, this is 1.1.4 of the Engage software. So they've obviously been learning and sharpening their blades and making it better as well. But like this, download from an FTP server, the update for the unit, and then does it do the update on its own? Does it ask you, are you ready to update? Like what is the process here? So let's see, it's downloading firmware for this device. Where is it downloading that firmware? Is it putting it on this machine or is it putting it on the unit itself? Okay, so it says that it's done. Now maybe it's rebooting that switch. But like this is pretty simple if it does it just like this. Remember, like if you're an installer, this Engage software, you can remote in, open the Engage software, go through, update the switches, make sure you don't kick yourself off the network, go through, update the softwares, and like be done, right? Okay, we've maintained it. Here's the invoice. That's the sort of thing that you want to get to where it's pretty easy to manage and update and handle multiple sites from a centralized location. So now the Engage software has, I don't know, stopped, quit? I don't know what it's up to. If anyone from Netgear is watching, it'd be great to know what's happening right now. Like maybe a notice or something saying like we're rebooting or we're restarting or Engage has crashed or something. It shows that Netgear Engage up at the top menu bar is still functional. Okay, here we go. Firmware success. Please hit the restart button to update your firmware. Hoping I'm not going to restart the whole system here and just that one switch. Okay, yes. So cool. The repair bench, one of my guys might be working in there, but it might be time to update that one as well. And then the tech bench is running a totally different software, so I don't want to restart that one. And then there's this one here, which I'll do after the show. But let's see when it comes back online, what firmware it reports in at, and if there's any additional functionality. Because if there was, that'd be really cool. All right, let's open up our heat map here and just check out. Wow, you guys are really filling in the map. Nobody from South America yet. Maybe it's because we don't translate this show into any of the languages in South America. But there you go. But really neat. Thanks for checking in, everybody. I love seeing this. Helsinki, Madrid, India, Johannesburg, Perth. I know that one. Oh, Rockhampton. That's cool. Hawaii. Yeah, really neat. So that QR code up there, that's what this is all about, is to get you on the heat map, by the way. So Herb says, Hola, are you my Hawaiian check-in? Using the 4250s in House of Worship, still working out the glitches with the Engage software. Update to the latest because I'm using it now. I mean, it's not super slick in terms of like obviously where it goes, but how do I refresh this screen? That's what I want to do, right? Oh, you can refresh that one. This one still hasn't rebooted, which seems to be like a long time. But anyways, hey, if you are my check-in, yeah. And have you seen the 4250 videos where I walk you through how to set it up? Because those are available over on the Bird Dog YouTube page. I will move those. Okay, here, we're back. So 13.0.4.13 is the latest firmware for this one. So that's cool. We are up to date there. That was pretty easy update process. And that is how an update process should be done. All right? I think Netgear gets the gold star today, all right? Because that's how it should be done. I like that you click on the device and it shows you the progress. It doesn't let you do multiples, right? Which may be wise. I mean, that might be a wise approach where, you know, if you have a dozen switches, you don't want to do all because what if you run into an issue and it tanks the whole network? You don't want to be updating all of them at the same time. You want to do one at a time. And here's a pro tip. Unify allows you to do multiples at once, and it's not good. It's scary because you can update the core and then start updating an edge switch. And if the core goes offline in a reboot, the edge switch stops downloading or gets dumped or goes into a timeout. Like, it's not good. So that's probably a smarter idea to limit the amount of devices that you can update. Now, this is a management of a greater network, meaning there are multiple devices plugged into this unit. And so doing one at a time is probably a safeguard. But then in like Fleet Manager, you probably still also want to restrict how many devices are going to be updating at the same time, right? Because so you don't want to do like all your Bird Dog devices because like what if you have an error on your network and it kills all of them in mid update? That would be a problem, right? Yes, it would, by the way. That's a rhetorical question. That would be a problem. So you don't want to you don't necessarily want that. You want to go one by one and make sure each one completes. But as an integrator, as a guy that's maybe selling service contracts or something like that, you can be methodical and map out and walk through the update process one by one and really make that work. So, all right, this 110, I'm getting really annoyed with this P110 because it keeps going out of focus. Really annoying. So how do we fix that, you say? Well, we go over and get into the web UI. And to do that, we're going to jump over here. Now, I've turned off autofocus in Studio Monitor. Okay, so now it's blurry just by default. But here on Cam Control, we got to log in because I haven't done that yet. And we want to go over to Cam Control in this initial one, say focus mode manual, and then I'm just going to adjust it a little bit. So we're going to go out until we dial in and we get it nice and crispy. Now, the other thing is that this shot in Studio Monitor, the one that I'm managing it with, this one is in low latency mode. So if you're tuning an image in low latency mode, you need to look at it somewhere in full bandwidth mode because it definitely is fuzzy still, but in this shot, it's pretty tight, right? So we don't want to adjust things in low latency mode if we're looking for precision and detail and all of that. So now, the reason I was doing that is because I was trying to get my playlist running, but I keep showing this screen so often because I'm having fun with the heat map that I want to keep showing that. So maybe I should put the heat map in the playlist, and then we'll see it every now and then. Maybe. You never know. You never know what I'm going to do on this show. So, Mr. Herb, yes, to answer your statement, I do have videos that show you how to do it. And just look for my face. Go to the YouTube Bird Dog Australia page and just look for playlists and click on the one that says 4250s. And I walk you through there's 5 videos. They're pretty quick. It's probably take you an hour to go through all of them. And I do 5 videos to show you exactly how to set everything up. And basically, you can just go through and say, yep, did that, did that, did that, did that. You might need to make 1 or 2 alterations. But yeah, it'll show you how I set them up here in the office and how I foresee using those in a unicast environment. So if you're doing TCP, there you go. All right. Well, it is now 12:32, and I probably need to go and help the team because we're down a couple of members today. So I am going to put this up here one more time. And thank you, everybody, for checking in today. That is really cool. I love the fact that you guys check in, tell me where you're at. And so thank you so much for doing that and jumping in on the heat map today. Hey, is there any news on stable Silicon 2 update for P120? So Silicon 2 will launch for all cameras at the same time, so it won't be camera specific. But the current... I'm trying to think here. The current project is Silicon 2, as in terms of like if I was just to say which is the top one, Silicon 2 is the number one. And what format are you trying to use? Because we're finding that people are saying Silicon 2, but they really just need like SRT or they need RTMP or they need like one format. And so we have some betas kind of in the works that we might be able to help people with, but I don't have a launch date for Silicon 2 yet. There are some things that we really need to sort out and fix before it goes live, and so that's what the engineers are up to. Of course, X120 is very high on that list as well. It's probably second in line. Play is on that list, and NDI5 for Converge, so that means Fleet Manager. They're all really high up there. So SRT for 4K family, please. Okay, I don't think Silicon 2 is out for 4K yet. So that might be round 2. I don't know. I don't know, actually. The truth is I don't know. And sometimes the engineers surprise the bejeebas out of me and they just say, hey, now it's available for everything. Like we figured it out or we fixed it. So I don't know when 4K family will be available. But, oh, you mean 4K family as in not 4K cameras, but 4K SDI, HDMI, and quad. I see. That I don't. I know NDI 5 is coming to that first. I don't know if Silicon 2 is launching on that when that launches. And you double check that. That's a great reminder. But yeah, so far that's the deal. So GoWeb, you're using SRT and RTMP. So those are definitely baked in the ones that we have right now. And I don't think SRT is the one that's giving us issues. So we might have a beta we could seed you. I don't know. Send a message into help@birddog.tv and just say, hey, do you guys have a beta for the latest Silicon 2 that I could try? I'm pretty sure the SRT one is stable. So there's no issues that I know of offhand that is there. So there might be an option there. Okay, guys, I do need to get going. Hopefully you have found today's show helpful. Let's throw that heat map up there one more time. This is where everybody's checking in from. So thanks for coming along for that ride. I really appreciate it. It's always fun to see where you guys are at. And yeah, it's been a blast. I found out the other day that the 4350 switch line, there's like a dozen switches that are coming, is launching. From what we've gathered today, it's going to be mid to high level or mid to large in AV installations. That's what that switch is going to serve. It has a massive backbone. I would love to see these things in action. Kicking myself for not getting to Infocom this year. Hopefully I will get to go in future years. But yeah, that's really neat that the 4350 line is out and that they have these humongous throughputs that we can capitalize on. And NDI, on paper, there's no reason why full NDI shouldn't sing on that network. So I'm really excited to see what they're doing over there at Netgear, and kudos to them for their launch of the 4350 line. Looking forward to the day that those are rolling off of their production line. I used SRT on the P200 for a live show a month ago, and it worked just fine. There you go. So RTMP might be his hang-up. I do know that we were working on RTMP because YouTube needs a specific flavor of it or something like that. But anyways, we'll sort that out. Anyways, guys, take care of yourselves. Have a great start to the week. It's only Tuesday, right? So have a great start to the week. And I'll see you closer to the end of the week when we are planning on hanging out for another show. I don't know what I got planned yet. And so we'll come up with something fun to talk about. And if not, bring your own questions and queries and all that sort of good stuff. And we will go down that line when the time comes. But in the meantime, take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. Look after yourselves out there, folks. It is a crazy busy world. It's kind of an overcast week here in Auburn Hills. So it's 65 degrees outside right now. So that's nice and chilly and kind of stormy the past few days. So hopefully that lets up. But our plants and grass desperately needed the water. So that is all well and good. And yeah, somebody posted the other day, this year's June is not Juning like any of the other previous Junes have Juned. Good stuff. All right, guys, take care of yourselves. We will see you soon. See you in a couple of days on Thursday at 11 o'clock right here, birddogjohn.tv. Come hang out with us, and I look forward to chatting with you again. Bye, guys. Thanks much.
Don't fail me again.